Okay, we're back in it. We're talking Berserk. Volume
we're
29.
going Berserk.
We are going Berserk.
Volume 29.
Yeah, episode 27, was it? 27.
Is the show Berserkin? Going Berserk?
It's just
right?
Going Berserk, yeah.
Going Berserk. So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Berserk in this issue, this volume. Kind of a low-key situation.
It's kind of interesting, too, because where we left off, the two witches kind of like stepped up on a bunch of ne'er-do-wells or whatever, some slave traders trying to round up a bunch of children.
As it turns out, slave traders. I thought they were going to kill these kids, but they're trading in human misery, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're very defensive about it. They're like, we are not pirates, okay? We are slavers. There's a difference, and this is governmentally fine. So back off, kid. We're doing the Lord's work here.
I love
they're very like uppity about it.
I love that they make this distinction because we find out like soon enough that they are literally ex-pirates trying to turn over some like less pirate.
Oh, like we're doing like legit business now, but it's like
it's still like mob work basically. Like it's still criminal activity, but it's not piracy.
And their leader could not be more of a pirate.
He's literally Captain Hook, like peg leg, and yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. But I guess before we get to that, like, yeah, we have this little skirmish going on. At first, Shirka kind of taps one with her like staff and freezes a guy, kind of with suggestion, right?
Yeah, the what is it called again? The like force, like powers essentially, just like using the force to just tell them to like shut the fuck up.
Yeah, the weak-minded kind of thing,
breaking
like,
their mind,
just kind of like, you can't touch me kind of thing. And it's like, what? And then he can't, but he can still talk.
Yeah.
So he's very upset and like, you kids need to learn how to behave to adults. We're adults over here.
It is weird
I don't know.
that like they are seeing magic being used so that their buddy can like literally not touch them. And their thing is, you need to learn how to talk to your elders properly or whatever. Like, it's just, what the fuck is going on with these douchebags?
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of like Shirka having to be a bit restrained lest she be too outed as like a magical person. So she's getting ready to cast some stuff if she needs to.
Right.
But Sonia, I guess, is also there, and you kind of get little like flickers of like, oh, okay, she's kind of able to tune into what like the thought transference, I guess. I was trying to flip through and be like, what was it that gave it away? But I think it's just she replied to something that she thought not said kind of thing. I kind of missed what it was.
Yeah, so what happens is that Isidro comes up on the scene and is there to try to like save the day or help out.
Right, he throws something at the frozen guy and like baps him, and then everybody
she does something to tell him to like, yo, fuck off, like it's all right. And that's when Sonia is like, says
I think it's like she sort of interprets why he's helping differently than Shirka did or something like that. It's like, no, that's not why he's doing it. And it's like, what? How did you know? I was thinking that,
right,
kind of thing. There's like a little moment, which I don't know. I was trying to read like, oh, is it like Isidro is trying to impress Shirka or something? Like I wasn't sure what Sonia was getting at.
Yeah.
Also, her name is Sonia, which I didn't know last week.
Her name is Sonia. Also,
hopefully they included her in the character roster stuff at the beginning this time.
Also, like, we'll get to him in a second, but the knight is named Mule, and he is the knight that we saw enter the new Band of the Hawk back ages ago. That she walks around with him.
He was kind of a new guy who had like a innocent perspective on like, I guess this is the legendary Band of the Hawk. I don't know. I'm gonna join. I kind of remembered that this guy had been established, but I forgot what his deal was.
Okay, I didn't remember,
and I certainly forgot his name. Yeah.
It's a pretty dumb name, honestly.
Is that like a nickname? Is that kind of putting him down a little bit? It's a little weird. But okay, so they're beating up these kind of hooligans. I guess they explain why they're doing what they're doing a little bit. It's like, hey, like they already hung all these people's parents, but they didn't have the stomach to like kill all these kids, so we're gonna take them. So we're fine. We're morally fine. It's like, you're saving their lives, but that's not really, still slavery. That's no good.
It's bad. It's still weird.
It's pretty bad. So this fight kind of breaks out. I kept kind of like wondering if Guts was going to come upon this fight and just end it by being there. Like, just be like, or like another kind of that litmus test of how smart are the bad guys, where if they see him, they should know, oh, okay, I'm done. Yeah, I don't want to die right now.
Yeah.
So that guy is clearly too hardcore for us, so I'm just going to leave. But that doesn't happen. He kind of stays to the shadows and stuff. He gets a ping, though, like he knows something's going on, but he just kind of lurks around and like observes how it goes, I guess.
I guess so,
Maybe he's ready to step in if he needed to, but he didn't. So it's a character development for Isidro. And
did they ever show him like actually watching it, or was he just like in tune that something
I think it's just that later Sonya kind of knows that he's lurking around, right? Gotcha. Like, oh, that guy by the gate or whatever. Like, she has that moment with like a medium sense or whatever they say to like talk about it. But before we get to any of that, pirate dude swings down, does kind of a drop kick bit, and like knocks over the knight, I guess, mule, I think is what it is, and then they start fighting.
Well, yeah, it starts because Isidro actually just like fucking murks one of them, I think. Like, he comes in and
cuts his artery on his leg.
He draws first blood. He fucking attacks him. Like, it's kind of
I was kind of like, oh, this just escalated. And like the other pirates basically say, like, you cut our friends, so we need to draw on you now.
We need to kill you.
We have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they're actually still being kind of gracious about it too. It's almost like when he stole those apples or whatever, and that guy was kind of being like, all right, let's settle down here, Isidro. Like, you've been caught. Just hand it over.
It seems like they don't want to kill a kid. Like, they don't want to murder
this
child.
They talk about hanging him from a mast for a day or something as punishment.
Right.
Like, there's little things they're saying where it's like, okay, I don't think they're just going to kill this kid.
Right.
But stuff keeps escalating a bit. Yeah, he cuts that guy. Mule steps in at a point, and he's fighting the captain guy. And doing pretty well, but then he changes the terrain in like a way that was like, I hope there's like a Soul Calibur level or something where it's just like, oh, this is like Cervantes's level and you're just on a bunch of boats or something. Like, it had a cool bobbing up and down boats kind of.
This whole part is very, very cool with, Mule is like almost like classically trained knight, like fencing or something. And I could picture like this whole part in my head with like the pirate fight, like in Hook or whatever, with like Peter Pan and Captain Hook, like drawing swords on each other and pushing each other back and forth or whatever.
Sure. Or like, I'm just in this like Soul Calibur mode for some reason. So it's like Cervantes versus Raphael or whatever.
Yes.
But then Cervantes is like, hey, check out, like, how are your sea legs? Let's test that. And then he like jumps onto some boats. And then suddenly, like, being in heavy armor is not a cool thing to have. And he's like bobbing all around and having trouble with it. So he bashes his rapier into the water, I think, and basically has him cold. And what interrupts this bit?
Oh, like, it's Isidro coming in and just being like, well, I guess I gotta... What does he say? He says, like, step aside, Junior, or something, like, time for it's hero time. He makes a comment where it's just like, all right, you took on the apprentice, now to face the master. He says, or some dumb
it's
bullshit.
Turbo time, and then he jumps in. Yeah. It was kind of... There was little bits with Isidro kind of observing how bold Mule was. Yeah. Like, it was like, he was kind of hesitant to, like, straight up kill people. But Mule just jumps in and like slices the guy's arm off and like really slashes at some guys. And he's like, okay, I gotta get more serious, I guess. Yeah. And then Mule kind of interrupts his fight with the captain. And then he interrupts the second phase of the fight. It's like, all right, I got this, like tag team or something.
He says, the star takes stage, you stay back, bit part. To Mule. Just,
brutal.
That's pretty good. Then there's just like a bunch of drawings of like, him pushing the captain guy back across a bunch of dinghies, like as they're going like from pier to pier, essentially. It's actually kind of cool. It was like, okay, maybe he's a better sword fighter, but like I'm like finicky. Like, I can move around a bunch of shitty boats and stuff. Like, that's not throwing him off at all.
Right. Even earlier when he was dealing with, like, all the pirates, he was using kind of evasion and quick, like, hiding behind barrels and rolling out of the way and stuff to kind of deal with guys, which was, you know, smart.
Aladdin-esque, I will say.
Sure. Some of the curved swords and stuff these pirates have, too.
Yeah.
I guess plays into that. But it's during this second fight, like Isidro versus the captain, where he busts out the blade in the peg leg, which I thought was really good. It's just like, you might as well have that. You probably won't need it very often, but when you do, you're going to be glad. So he like drops this blade and like kicks up with his peg leg and almost gets Isidro.
Okay.
And
I didn't know if he actually did cut him. Like, I didn't see any cuts on him or whatever, but the way that was drawn originally, I thought, did he like slice him somehow?
I don't think I think he managed to duck his head back in time.
Okay.
But it definitely threw him off balance, I guess. It broke his balance, Virtua Fighter style.
Right.
So he's open. I'm sure. Oh, is this where they like inadvertently wake up Azan?
Yes.
Like he was sleeping in a dinghy?
Yes.
This is like so. I don't know. This was so Miyazaki movie or something. It's just like, oh, there's just a knight having a nap somewhere, and he pops up. And it's like, he's in full armor. So I kind of was like, who? Wait, this is the Bridge Knight. This is the Bridge Knight. I can't remember his name. I had to look it up. But yeah, Azan just happened to be napping nearby and intervenes and starts wasting all these guys.
Oh, it's so good. It's like, yeah, this seemed like weird fan service or something. Just a bunch of cool shit happening and this dude that we haven't seen in a while coming back. And yeah, I thought this part
just
was cool.
Happens to be there. I guess it's like a major port city or something. You can make some sort of reason why he would gravitate to this place too.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so I guess they kind of this knocks the pirate captain guy into the water. He can't swim, and then Isidro hits him with an oar, and that's it. I don't know if that guy's dead, but he's like out of this now.
That's a pretty good bit
so
too. Isn't he even just saying like a pirate that can't swim? Like what or something? Like.
At some point, he was offering Isidro a job during this fight. He's like, "Hey, you're pretty scrappy. You know, you could be a pirate if you, or like you could join our crew if you want." And it's like, no, forget it. Like he's really mad about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the end of this little skirmish with the pirates. Shirka never had to cast or anything.
They just kind of end up watching it, really. Which is, I guess they help the kids get out.
Yeah, they're kind of commenting on how Isidro's doing and Monkey Boy and all this. Like they're throwing some stuff around.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just kind of observing. I guess I kind of interpreted like Sonia's motives for talking to Shirka as purely underhanded last issue.
Yes.
But some stuff comes to the surface here where it's just like, maybe she genuinely is really impressed to meet someone else with powers. Like, that hasn't happened for her, you know?
Like, we got a little bit of her talking about some stuff, which we'll get to, obviously, but there definitely is she's lonely and excited that she found a like-minded, like, a person that she can relate to on a deeper level.
A fellow mutant or something.
Right, exactly.
X-Men comparison. Or I was thinking of, like, if only Carrie had a friend, then that wouldn't have happened in that movie. Like, if she met another kid, it's like if she met Danny Torrance, just happened to be going to the same school.
Sure.
They'd be the best of chums ever, and it would be a totally different thing. So, yeah.
And, like, she doesn't know who Shirka is or their crew, so...
Yeah, there was sort of like dramatic tension with this because like Griffith just sent a crew to kill Flora, right?
Right.
So he's like nervous about witches or trying to clear up the witches, and I guess I wasn't sure how much of that plan Sonia would know about. This is like no, I guess she didn't because she's just kind of like, oh, I met this cool kid, like whatever. Like when she gets back, even it's just like, oh, I made a new friend, and it's like, okay. And there's nothing to like tip the hand that she could be a big problem though. Like she's the apprentice to the powerful witch we were trying to murder or whatever. So
sure, or even just another witch. Period. She doesn't like make any mention of it really.
No, she's just in her own little world about that, I guess. But Yeah, so she also kind of shares an image with Shirka about maybe their plans for the city or something. Like, it's like, hey, you're going to want to run away from the city. Yeah. What? And then she just sees this, like, desolate wreck of, like, burned out corpses and everything. It's
everywhere.
Like, oh!
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I guess the Hawk have bad plans for this port town or something. So
when she offers, so the kids all go with her and Mule. And she offers, like, you guys can come too or whatever. Were you a little bit worried? It's like, is this actually going to happen? Oh, my God. Like,
well, it was a bit like, well, Shirka doesn't really, like, I don't know. She hasn't encountered this either. She might be lured or something. Yeah. Like, there could be a, you know, there was that. And then I guess I was also worried that spurning the invitation would tip Sonia negative or something.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just like, all right, well, that's too bad, but we'll, you know, see you later or whatever. Like, it's amicable enough. I wasn't like, oh, Sonia's going to get real mad. It was like genuine disappointment. So yeah, her kind of motivations were made a little clearer this time. I was immediately very like, uh-oh, that's one of the Hawk people. Like, she's bad news. But there's a little more nuance going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so they finally find a place to stay, and it's a really rowdy pub. And
yeah,
I guess it's just
where
a bar
there's
fight
available. Happens like immediately.
Oh yeah, like no consideration of who else is at the table or anything. Like, drunk dudes are just coming up at Casca, at Shirka, at Farnese, and it's just like, hey, step off. Like, what are you doing? It's like, ugh, drunk people.
I do
like Guts kicks a guy.
I was gonna say, I like that one of the panels is literally just like Guts with his leg up in the air after kicking a dude like across the table, essentially.
And I forget who it is, but someone's like, "Hey, keep your foot away from the food."
It's Serpico. Yeah.
It's like, hey, enough of that. It's not good decorum.
Yeah.
This is where Shirka has her disguise, I guess. They finally managed to find some normal looking clothes.
Like Little House on the Prairie type shit.
It really is, yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right.
It's pretty good.
Laura Ingalls type business here.
Yes, that's
I guess she's kind of embarrassed about it, but you know, you got to be lower key in this situation. The problem, I guess, presents itself where all they wanted was a ship so they could go to the Elf Helm or whatever.
Right.
And all of them are tied up in the war effort.
Right. Like,
there's just no way to commission anybody in order to, like, fulfill that. So, oh, man. I just noticed my next note here, though. I forgot Mule and Isidro also beat the crap out of each other.
Okay, I was wondering if we were going to talk about that because I found that hilarious. Where like Isidro can't talk properly anymore.
Yeah, they were so kind of each was incensed by the other stepping into their fight or whatever that they just kind of have it out and start bopping and beating each other. And yeah, they both have just super swollen faces leaving. And Isidro essentially can't talk or anything. And I think one of my favorite drawings of Isidro thus far is him trying to eat his like soup dinner.
Yeah.
With just the swollen face and everything.
Just tears
like, once
running down
a bit.
Yeah. It's good. It's really good.
It's pretty good. Licking his wounds or whatever. So yes.
And that's happening like as the two girls are having like their nice conversation about like, you should join us or whatever. We have room and blah, blah, blah. They're just like beating the shit out of each other.
In the background, there's just trading blows back there.
It's really good. Also, there's a moment where Shirke breaks a bottle over some dude's head in the bar brawl or whatever. And it's like that moment is funny because she just smashes this dude with a fucking bottle. But it's also like a really sweet moment because it's like that moment that she looks at her group fighting in this bar fight, like all of them are deep in it, including her, and she like realizes that she belongs with these people even though they're like kind of fucked up or whatever.
Oh, it's my family or whatever. Yeah.
It's tropey, but like it's like nice. It's endearing. It's an endearing set.
Oh, this was such a weird tease with the Zan too, because like this bar fight triggers like a plate of food to like spill out into the street, and he's like, "Oh, awesome!" And I thought they'd meet him at that point, but then it's just like, nah, they both just miss each other.
You're right. I forgot about that. That's so good.
Okay, I guess Istro also kind of insults Mule by getting a sword for him. That's like, you lost your sword, so
He stole
I figured
one
you'd
from
need
the
this.
pirates. Yeah.
It's like, I don't want a stolen sword. It's like, well, how are you going to protect anybody, huh? Like, they're kind of still beaking a bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, fine, all right. And he kind of, he's not stoked about it. But okay. And then, so Sonya and her little party, they're going to take in the Kushan children, I guess, into the band. They head out, and Charlotte is kind of reintroduced again. Like, she seems pretty stoked. I'm glad she has at least a moment where she's engaged and happy and whatever.
It took me a moment. The princess Charlotte, in case anybody else is Charlotte, like me and just needs a moment to remember. There's a lot of names now.
Princess Charlotte, there's a lot of characters. Yeah, we're going to get, like, I think it was this volume also, like, threw in a couple more characters. Like, oh, man, this is getting into a lot of people here. Like, this is when I was... but we're 30 volumes in almost. Like, I guess it's fine. You can have a pretty big cast.
Yeah.
But I don't need some of these guys to stick around.
Totally.
Really. Like, I hope this is a short episode with some of this. But okay. Charlotte is cooking pastries. She's cooking cake for everybody. Which is, a weird thing to do on the battlefield, but it's still a nice, delicate flavor. And her handmaid or whatever is kind of like, man, she's really stoked. Like, this is as happy as she's been in a long time. So I felt good about that.
Yeah.
She kind of runs up on Griffith when Sonya is kind of coming back at the same time. And because Sonya is an empath or whatever, like, she can read stuff. She's kind of stepping on toes and butting in a little bit, like she knows that obviously Charlotte would want to talk to Griffith, but I'm going to step in and eat this cake and kind of disrupt the vibe here a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she's jealous. They get into that momentarily.
Catty.
Like, yeah, who is it? Mule kind of steps in and is like, obviously leave them alone. Like, do I need to tell you? You should know.
Yeah.
She's like, all right. And then she slinks off and meets our archer guy that we saw briefly with like the Bloodborne hat.
Does he have a name?
Angled.
I just don't remember.
I don't know this guy yet. I don't know if I know this guy. We did have our gap in the show, so maybe they introduced him by name amongst all those crazy recruits that the band got at that one point. But I can't tell you what it is just now. But he's a lone hunter guy. He's proud that he's on his own. He talks about, well, some hunters hang out with people, but I don't. I'm alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And then Sonya kind of opens up a little bit. It's just like, yeah, I was kind of alone too. So she sits there and falls asleep and has a dream about, I guess this is really the moment where I was like, oh, okay, her feelings are more genuine. She has the dream about the kite and the owl.
Yeah.
Like, so the owl being Shirka's spirit animal or whatever she feels she is.
His name is Irvine.
In her bird analogy. Yeah. What?
His name is Irvine or Irvin. Irvine.
Okay. Irvine the hunter. Was he playing music or something? Or was he just sitting there?
He's playing a lute. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, they're not buds or whatever, but they have a little moment by the fire where, he puts a blanket around her and stuff. Yeah. And she falls asleep and has this dream. It's kind of sweet.
He has those dead eyes. Those pupilless eyes.
Oh, it's kind of tucked under his brim or whatever. Oh, yeah, you do get a shot of his eyes, though.
Yeah, you got a shot of his face, and I remember him looking kind of mannequin-ish. Kind of creepy.
Like apostle-y, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, for sure, yeah, of some sort.
And then we kind of jump into a whole, like, side story or, like, this high society kind of avenue that this takes for a bit.
Yeah.
It spins out of their problem getting a ship, and it kind of caught me surprise though. I wasn't prepared to delve back into the parentage of Farnese and Serpico and all this suddenly. I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is the city they're in. I didn't really know that to anticipate that. But it's the Vandimion family.
Yes.
Their politics enter into this. Basically Farnese Serpico was pounding the pavement trying to figure out a ship situation. He comes back, reports there's nothing. And then Farnese is like, oh, there's somebody I can ask. And then she sneaks away to go talk to her dad.
Right.
Who sucks. He's just
Dad's a piece of
bad.
shit. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. Well, I mean, he's so immediately crappy about like, wow, you fled the Holy See. You're gonna have to stand trial. And it's like, whatever, Dad.
Yeah.
It's not my scene anymore. I'm learning how to be a witch.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't say any of this. She's very like quiet and like, you know, just kind of bows her head to her father's will or whatever when she talks to him. But then you get some insight into her character with her mother appears.
Yes.
And talks about how, like, oh, no, you don't use words, but you act out in just crazy ways. And he can't control that, and it scares him or whatever.
Right.
Like, when she burned things, like burned houses and whatever, like her wild moods when she was a kid are reflected on a bit. But her play here is to... I can secure you passage, I can secure you ship if I agree to marry my brother's friend.
Yeah, it gets weirdly complicated. So originally she goes to ask her father for help or whatever, and her brother is the one that's like saying something like, well, I could probably help you. My friend wants to get married or something. There's like aristocratic reasons.
Yeah, there's like Magnifico is this kind of youngest brother or whatever, and he just got rebuffed from like getting a job or whatever from his dad.
Yeah,
it's like, well, this brother here, he's in charge of the bank, and this one over here, he's gonna be the Pope. What about me? Where's my like sweet nepotism hookup? And his dad's like, it's all because they have great skills and you don't. Get out of my face. And then he kind of goes behind his back with this scheme, to try to kind of set wheels in motion that'll like unite the king, like their family, with the Illith or something. Like when this guy Roderick spoke, Roderick of Stoffen, I thought he said the 11th Navy, but then it was like, no, it's like a Eth or something. It's like a country name or a house name.
Yeah. So he's like. His friend owns a navy or something, or is like head of a navy. Is that what it is? He's
like a officer of this navy.
Yeah.
So he's in the military, I guess, of some kind. The navy. Sorry, it's different branch.
I can't get a read on Magnifico or Federico or whatever at
Roderick.
Yeah. I can't get a read on them at all because I don't necessarily think they're evil in the way that we've seen, but like they're obviously using her for like whatever means. He seems kind of
personal gain.
He seems kind of interested in her though. Like he's like actually kind of sweet to her, and he makes some comment about
Roderick?
how he makes some comments like, about how like the roses are beautiful or whatever, but they're all the same and kind of pointless, and she's like a white lily in a field of them, or like that she's different. Like he recognizes that there's like special stuff about her, so I don't know how to read him yet.
I guess I don't quite know. Like it seemed like there was some scheming going on. Like there's like an aside between Roderick and Magnifico where they're kind of like talking about their plan, but I think it seems like it's not at the expense of Farnese. It's at the expense of the dad.
The dad, yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's like, oh, we're gonna get my old man. He's such a like curmudgeon. We're gonna get him.
But Magnifico obviously doesn't care really about his sister.
No, he's just using her as like a pawn or whatever. Yeah, like which is kind of the discussion where they like the mom talks about how the dad likes having everything arranged like on a chessboard so they're predictable and he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
But she's like a wild card. Like she's a weird game piece. He can't fix her in place kind of thing.
Right.
And it sort of seems like the brother is also trying to do that. Like he's trying to fix her in place. And then the mom kind of gives a warning. Like, it's like, oh, she may seem to be going along with this, but you better watch out. And it's like, what? Yeah, no, like this is probably not going to work out. Like she's kind of cryptic about it. But I guess her mom knows her nature a little better.
The mom seems cool.
Does she have a name? Mrs. Farnese? Like Madam Dominio? I don't know.
Yeah, she probably does somewhere. Let me quickly open up this link and I'll see if I can find it.
Sorry, Vandimion. Yeah.
They refer to her here as Farnese's mother.
Great.
Or Lady Vandimion.
Lady Vandimion. Sure.
Or Lady
that'll work, I guess.
Vandimion, I guess.
Vandimion.
Yeah, Vandimion.
Or Italian, I guess.
Yeah,
sure.
I guess. So that's her name, I suppose.
And I don't know that she knows the nature of Serpico's connection, right? Although she does make that kind of observation about like them liking each other, and he's kind of like shaken by it a bit. It's like very astute. Yeah, you got me. I do. Like forbidden fruit kind of thing. There's like a little.
I really like that point.
Insinuation.
That part, because she's basically saying like, "Oh yeah, my daughter is a crazy bitch, and you've like been with her since children, so you are probably also mostly crazy bitch now too, or whatever.
You've been warped or whatever." Yeah,
that moment was pretty good. It was just like, yeah, all right, fair enough.
No, yeah, Lady Vandimion can read people.
She's great.
Well, I guess.
I really like her actually. Yeah.
And she was an unexpected arrival, I guess. She was touring in the mountains or something because she hates the season right now, but she suddenly came back from her trip to meddle with things. So that's working out.
Is it snowing?
Okay.
I can't tell like what season this is supposed to be, because I swear to God, one of the like scenes or whatever, there's snow on the ground, but there wasn't the time before. Is this maybe over like the span of a week or two or something?
Maybe the onset of winter, late fall kind of thing, but
Right.
it's just guessing. I'm trying to think if they were also flashing back to like, oh, remember the last time we were here or something. But I think you're right. I think the seasons might be tipping into winter. But okay, so Farnese has secured this passage and everything, and Casca's playing with this letter. Does she destroy it?
Okay.
Does that happen?
Yeah, so okay, the deal has been made. Like, she's going to do this. We should talk about
I'm
that.
going to marry Roderick.
We should talk about that
the
in a
Navy
second
will help
too,
us out.
because it's really important to her character. But the thing she gives Serpico is a missive with the royal seal on it that basically is, give this to any merchant, and they will basically be obligated to give you a crew, a ship, and everything, and like, you're set, you're good to go, but we can't come with you. And
like, an officer of the Navy is ordering them to do this, so you're good.
So, and yes, Casca's playing with it, drops it, it rolls into the fire, and they're like, I guess that just, like, let's go get our girl back.
That seals it.
That's the sign.
Let's go rescue her.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, they're having a conversation where it seems like Guts isn't happy with the deal and, like, wants to get her back.
Yeah.
And Shirka is, too, because she's having a horrible time babysitting
Casca.
It's just like, man, she was so much better at this than me, like, cooking for her and everything. Like, Shirka at one point, like, spills soup right in Guts' face and everything.
Oh my God, I actually wrote this down. I didn't bring my notes in here for some reason because I was in a rush or whatever, but there's a moment where she's trying to take care of everybody and Guts is like in bed and she's like, you have to eat your soup or whatever, and she's like, there's a panel of her doing like the airplane thing or something, and just being like, like crying or something, trying to feed Guts. And it's one of the funniest panels I've seen in so long.
I wasn't sure if she was suddenly embarrassed because all eyes are on her all at once or something, or she realizes how much responsibility she has. Like, something's happening where she freaks out while trying to feed soup. Yeah. There's another comedy scene that's a little too like Mira-y in terms of like playful nudity stuff,
where like she's trying to get Casca to keep her towel on during a bath or something, or after.
Right,
bath.
they've tied up Isidro so he can't spy on their bath, I think is what's happened.
Yes, you're right.
So they're having a bath. Initially, I was like, okay, he's getting a little more tasteful. You know, you get a little side boob or something from Casca, but her arm's up, so we're gonna dance around it. But it's like, no, that's not how he plays. So almost immediately, there's this kind of, the chair tips over, it knocks them over. Shirka is naked and falls onto Guts while he's sleeping or whatever, and she's mortified and casts a spell on him so he forgets or something.
Right.
It's the, like, oh geez, okay, you can't remember this, and like there's a little playful anime nudity business going on. And then they, to be fair, he does transition to like Farnese is also having a bath at the palace. So
in this giant totally... like fountain bath or whatever with a bunch of like servants toweling her off and dressing her as she gets it. Like it's just like such a different feel. It's kind of actually a fun like juxtaposition of each other. It's neat.
And it prompts her to remember, like, yeah, I mean, I haven't, like, been alone for a long time. Like, I would be looking after Casca normally during this.
Oh, you're right. She has a moment, like, it's weird taking a bath alone now or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in all this, she washes her hair and thus loses Shirka's hair, so the connection is gone. Like, the transference...
I never picked that up, that's why. Holy shit.
Shirka talks about it. I thought
she did that on purpose.
It seems she doesn't have it anymore.
Oh.
But I am assuming it's because of that. It might be on purpose, but I just feel that's when that might have happened. Whereas Serpico maintains the connection for reasons we'll get into in a minute. But okay, so... Oh yeah, the ship letter probably burns. I felt it was weird they danced around that happening, but I guess it was what they wanted to do. So yeah, they start heading into the palace area to go rescue her, and then like a ominous fog settles in, John Carpenter style,
right,
on the whole place, and they kind of get the sense like, oh no, those like weird beast men are gonna be back, but instead of a gator, like a crocodile person, it's a weird, like, panther-looking dog thing. I don't know.
This reminds me... for some reason, I got the... you played Dark Souls 2. The snow area DLC with the invisible cat in the snow.
I've watched a video of this area. I'm told it's one of the most notoriously annoying places.
It's the worst.
In that series.
I got weird vibes from this, of just, like... this weird snowstorm and like this cat monster thing just skulking in
like
it.
Jumping out of skulking around in the fog.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kind of see that happen. It kills some guards or whatever that they kind of mind like tricked past, but it hasn't attacked them, and they're kind of wondering what's up with that. It's like, oh, it could have just attacked us, but it didn't. But either way, trouble's coming. We need to hurry up here. Which I guess, yeah, I wasn't sure if this means like the Kushan are gonna attack this place or the band is attacking.
You're right, because the face of this cat thing actually looks like that Rakistan or Radagast or whatever the fuck that thing's name was, the weird like loopy guy, because it has like
the kind of no face guy.
It has this weird like teeth or something, like like
there's kind of
pattern.
Close-up shot of a lot of its teeth. I'm trying to remember what these beasts are called. Like the kind of half-breed things that are like part...
Oh, yeah. They're, non-apostles. What the fuck was it? Familiars, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be one of those. We don't really know. It's concealed by fog. We'll find out next time. In the meantime, they pick up a signal from Serpico, though, and he wants to meet them. So I guess my assumption was like, oh, maybe he's going to help with this rescue effort. But when they parted ways, like Serpico brought back all of the stuff, including the magic dagger, which was almost thrown out. Which I was kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? Like the maid servants or whatever is just like, oh, yeah, all your old stuff. That stuff's garbage. We're going to throw it away. It's like, no! Yeah. There's a magic thing in there.
The dagger so and the mail or whatever, the mail shirt.
Yeah, so she sends that back along with the letter to Serpico. And then when Serpico's leaving, Guts' kind of means of like, hey, no, we got to fight. You owe me a fight kind of thing. Like, there's a little like, right, yeah. Oh, we'll never resolve our duel. Like, I was going to fight you again. It's like, well, I guess that can't happen now. And then, like... cut to later, I guess that's going to happen. Like, that's the kind of the cliffhanger for this volume is he once again selectively chose like an environment that'll hopefully help balance it out because he knows who he's up against.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It was they call it like the Forest of Pillars or something. It's an
Forest of Pillars, I think, yeah, and they're all like closer together than normal, so hopefully that'll restrict his movement with the giant blade. But
the last thing we see is Guts breaking a pillar down, swinging his blade to attack. Like, so yeah, this is going to be interesting.
yeah. I mean, Isidro hypothesized like, oh, whatever, like they're buds, they're gonna hold back.
Yeah,
but I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
how serious is Serpico about this? Like he kind of still had a chip on his shoulder from way back.
Yeah,
like it was never fully like, we're simpatico now. It's like we need to be allies because I am loyal to Farnese and she's going with you guys. But that's where it stands. I guess briefly, we kind of skipped over it because it was lost in the mix or whatever. One of the things that happens here is Shirka is starting to teach Farnese magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's trying to visualize, like, look at an apple and then close her eyes and like envision it like as perfectly as you can. Think about it in all its dimensions and everything. She's having a hard time focusing on that, but she's still trying to do that even when she's betrothed and like off on her own again at the palace. So
right,
yeah, it does seem that thing where it's like she's going along with this, but part of her really doesn't want to.
Most of her doesn't want to. Actually, so
yeah,
there's like kind of a big theme in this this book with her that I think was interesting, and they kind of call out later on in it, where she still feels useless, and like this is the one thing she could do, but she's also doing it because it's her way of running away from the thing that like she's been doing from the group or whatever. And
yeah,
like there was some actual cool introspection of, yeah, like this is kind of my contribution. This is the one thing I can do. And also, I'm such a useless piece of shit that they're better off without me anyway. And kind of this weird thought process that she went through. Or like that, how she's still a coward. And even though like she's helping, this is like the best she can do, taking a coward's way out or whatever.
Right, and I guess at this point, she doesn't know that this rescue effort is going on. So I'm sure she'll be really struck by like, oh wow, you guys actually came back and needed me or whatever. That's amazing. Hopefully. I don't know what we're going to see happen in the next volume. Apparently there's going to be a big, like, fog monster battle or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think when it initially started getting into, like, all the stuff with Magnifico and Roderick and stuff, I was like, oh my god, how extensive is this going to be? Like, are we getting into this whole high court, like, how much of this is going on? I was actually really grateful the fog started descending. It's like, okay, it's going to get back to action pretty soon. We're not just going to do this for a couple volumes.
There was a
like,
chapter of literally
moving.
just writing. Like, there was nothing but dialogue, essentially.
And, like, palatial, like, interiors and stuff, which look nice, but it's just like, oh, there's, like, high-stakes business going on. I don't really want to spend too much time here.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of a weird in-between volume. Like it's kind of like the Pirates thing seems like super low stakes in a way, but it at least establishes some relationships and things and Istro's growth a little bit.
And it was fun.
And then yeah, it was fun. It was kind of silly.
Yeah.
But Azan is back, I guess. He's at least in town, so hopefully that plugs into something later.
Yeah.
And then this whole kind of, oh, right, the high society family she came from and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, okay, so they also briefly talk about how the kingdom has no royalty right now. Like, is that Charlotte's dad is dead, so they're kind of lost right now?
Yeah, that's why they're a commonwealth of all the different, like, the surviving members under different banners coming together, because they don't have a centralized figurehead anymore. So there's kind of this thought that with Charlotte being there and maybe taking the place again, they might all fall into place anyway.
Oh, sure. Or like that would be a means for Griffith to consolidate the kingdoms
without having to like. I think Griffith could murder every human that's
everyone if he needed to,
but
this would have at least the appearance of legitimacy or something, right?
And like you still want servants, right? You still want people to follow you, especially Griffith. He wants people to follow him,
right? And I guess, yeah, he could definitely play this like, hey, I rescued the princess and she was in love with me, and like, how great is that? And it's like, oh wow, Queen Charlotte, wow.
And people still
like,
talk about
this could work.
The Legend of the Hawk and stuff like that, and like,
yeah,
people,
I guess the table is set for him to climb the ladder again. I guess
only we and not even this group, us and Guts know what happened. Because Casca's useless also, currently. Like, us, the readers, and Guts are the only ones that know that Griffith is, like, the worst.
Yeah, favorite Casca moment in this was during this, like, intensive apple thing. She just kind of grabs it at one point and eats it.
Yeah.
Like, Farnese's really focusing on it. It's just like, I'm taking that from you.
Yeah.
And just chomps into it. It's like, all right, fun. But okay, there's also some speculating as to, like, okay, all these kingdoms are kind of coming together right now, but it's all a pretext for them to carve up Midland.
Right.
Like they're gonna fight the Kushan or whatever, but then they're gonna keep the territories they occupy. Like the kingdom's about to fracture.
I mean, this happened in real life. It's Europe, right? Like that's what's that's what's basically going to happen here, essentially.
Okay.
I guess. Well, Europe's a little bit different because it was more like 2 or 3 giant kingdoms, and then like their different outposts getting their own independence for some of them, and I guess it's a little bit different. But yeah, the idea is that we're pushing back the Kushan and taking control of territory as we do it, or whatever.
Yeah, and then why would we vacate them once we've taken them,
right,
kind of thing. So yeah, there's kind of this power grab, like vacuum that's in play anyway. Again, I feel like this is what Griffith is waiting to swoop in and do,
or to lead them, right? Like let them fight the dudes, and then Griffith and his crew are gonna need to focus on the actual like demon.
Oh sure, if Griffith and his posse take down the Dread Emperor, they would be kind of worldwide heroes or whatever.
Yeah.
to most eyes.
Well, I mean, that guy doesn't seem like he wouldn't rape Casca in front of Guts. Like, that guy doesn't seem on the level. The Dread Emperor, whatever the fuck his name is.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah, he was taunting Charlotte in that way.
So, like,
yeah,
Griffith has done terrible shit.
Both evil.
So let them wipe each other out. Who gives a shit at this point?
Yeah, and I guess Guts for most of this issue was basically just recovering still from his like weird ethereal wounds and everything. Like he's just hanging out, like sleeping a lot.
He had his armor off,
so
like a lot of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's cool that he can take it off.
Hopefully he's ready for this Serpico duel. I don't know. That's what the next volume's gonna have. I hope both those parties make it out, because that'd be kind of crazy. But I guess we're 3/4 through, so high stakes business can go down.
Serpico's a fucking moron, right? Like he's seen what
but
Guts
he can cook, dude.
No, I mean like, why is when Guts...
I mean, he did pull that cliff stunt that Guts was impressed by. You know, it's like, hey, pretty clever, like good idea. So this is, you know, the pillars thing.
So like
maybe the play is to get Guts to knock out so many pillars that the ceiling falls on him, and then you win that way.
But then they all die except Guts. Like Guts isn't going to lose to Serpico. There's no way. That it's not possible.
Yeah, I don't quite know what Serpico's playing at, because he should know he's outmatched. But I guess he also knows he's wounded, so
he knew he was outmatched before. And now he knows that this dude wears armor that literally makes him impossible to stop until he is, like, completely dead. And even then, it seems like the suit's just going to keep him going anyway.
Man, at least, like, 2 party members have, like, secret crushes for Guts, though. Like, Shirka does, and they joke around with that. But then, like, Farnese, when she's asked later about, like, hey, like, do you have anyone or whatever, she looks into a pool and, like, sees Guts' face.
Man,
you know?
At that moment, though... Like, maybe it's just me. I got the moment of her on the sword again. Just
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just like, no, they got weirdly close at one point in a, like, strange way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's Farnese's past, yo. But now she's trying to be a witch, but also unite kingdoms. I don't know. I'm interested where it's going. This felt like a bit like an in-between. But some interesting little things happen.
What if the witches get together and they're like, you know what? We don't need no Guts or Griffith. We don't need no men.
Yeah,
witches
Sonia
before
and
bitches.
Shirka
or something. I don't know.
Oh man, they actually do say like new stitches for witches or something at one point
Yeah,
when she gets her outfit.
You're right.
So, stitches for witches.
Stitches for witches. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's the direction it's going in. No. Like just cool lesbian witches burning everything, but I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Probably not. That would be quite a pivot from where we've been.
Yeah.
But okay. So that's number 29.
29. We're getting closer.
It's email time. We got another message in.
We do.
From a raven flew in with a little,
with a missive
scroll.
Yeah, a scroll with a seal on it. And it says, it's from Antonio, and it says, oh my god. Good evening, Mr. Leonhan and Mr. Sfo.
Oh yeah, that's our gamer names now.
It is I, Aseru, writing in to comment on something that caught my attention from last week's Berserk episode. The line previously discussed, her wish might not be your wish. To me, sounds like there's a possibility maybe she wouldn't want to come back to her old self, to not want to remember or relive the traumatic experience. That might be the driving factor behind her mind being locked away. I think at that point it would take the wish to live for someone or something more than death itself to someone put her mind back on track. And to me, it seems like that kid could be the one to make it happen. Just food for thought. I'm sorry I couldn't bring more to the table. I hope this week's been good to you both. Love the episodes, and as always, keep on berserking.
Oh yeah, the little kid, the mysterious kid that disappeared. But yeah, I guess Casca, would she just want to retreat as far away from possible from all this garbage because of how traumatic all that was?
I wonder if
instead of there's Guts' motivation to get up in there and cut things.
Yeah, I wonder if there's two versions of Casca. Does she? If she gets her mind back, when she gets her mind back, I'm just gonna say when now because I want it so bad to happen. I think it's going to.
That the hand was tipped a little bit that Elfhelm could do that. I hope that's not a tease. That would be crazy.
That would be just shitty.
Nope, beyond my power. Or it could just set up some sort of video gamey yes, if you get the 3 crystals, I will be able to make a brew or something.
10 foxtails.
Oh, okay.
20 berries or something. Yeah, exactly.
We need the heads of 7 apostles, and we'll boil them.
Yeah, easy.
Just, I don't know, some big quest. You got to go on a big quest because it's medieval fantasy.
For sure. But when she gets her memory back, does she remember being dumbass Elaine? Or is that kind of the fog got wiped away? So, it went from this terrible thing that happened to her.
What happened to that Nina character? Where's she at? She'll just remember.
No, she doesn't even
people.
remember Nina because she lost her mind during the eclipse.
Well, but not the copycat eclipse though, right?
The copycat eclipse.
Second eclipse. When she was hanging out with all those prostitutes.
She was already gone though, her mind was broken already.
Yeah, that was fully Elaine. So if she retained kinship with those people.
That's what I mean, is that is there the mind fog is gone, so all that stuff kind of is gone too. It was the drunkenness is gone and she doesn't remember what happened.
Oh yeah, is she in a blackout state all the time right now and won't maybe she won't be scared of Guts either. It would be the hope I assume he has.
Oh my god. It's gonna be heartbreaking if they do the thing, it's just is her mind her own or blah blah blah. And there's just a tear that rolls down her face and she's like, I'm so sorry, or says something to Gus and just and hugs him or something. I'm probably just going to cry. I can't deal with it.
Okay.
After everything we've been through together, I can't deal with her getting her memory back and just being feeling like any of it was her fault or that she was a problem at all. I can't do it.
Where she seems to have been played as comic relief so far.
Yeah.
Like the Apple moment and stuff. I feel that would be weird. That would be such a weird pivot.
Yeah.
Be no, she's so sad about all that stuff. She's really bummed out how much of a burden she was. I guess I hope she doesn't remember all this, doofy Elaine period of her life.
Yeah, me too.
But I guess we'll find out. But yeah, does she want the same thing? I don't know. I don't know if I have a prompt for this one because we're kind of in between stuff. So
I have gone berserk.
Yeah, there's no real pressing like, hey, how's that Diablo 4 beta treating you, or something like that. You know, just get feedback on that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I feel like out of the people I talk to, I'm the only one playing it, so.
I started looking at it today.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never played one of those. So
a beta or a Diablo?
A Diablo game. It's like, wow, this is like big budget Torchlight. This is crazy. Look at these. Look at these cutscenes.
That's true. It is like big budget Torchlight. That's not wrong.
The only thing though, I wish I had a pet to send all my junk back to town. I'm really missing it. So
yeah, it's unfortunate that you have to be the pet to send your own shit back to town. I agree.
I chose a druid. Like, they were pictured with some wolves and stuff. So like, oh, maybe I get a pet. But thus far, I turn into those. Yeah. Like, I turn into a werebear or whatever. So
at some point, we should talk more about Diablo 4 and like other stuff in another podcast. Because I have opinions about Diablo 4 that I know top down it will not be the place to get all of them out properly. So
whereas as a total newbie to this realm, like, I don't know how valuable my insight is, but I'll probably look at some more of that. But anyway, yeah, that's Going Berserk. If you want to email in, I have
gone berserk at gmail.com is how to do that. Why don't you write in what are your predictions about Casca and getting her memory back? Just any predictions you might have, if it happens, if it doesn't.
Well, if you know, though, don't just tell us. That would be real lame.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Vandimion sibling?
Yeah.
Polciano? That guy's got it going on.
Yeah, what's the other one's name?
Oh, I forget. Like, there's one that's basically just looks like his dad. Like, he's just going to inherit the family business or whatever. But Polciano was the guy who's going to be the pontiff, allegedly. Right. Which is ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah. Berserk. Just,
okay, I have a thing. The way we've been talking about it or whatever, do you hate Griffith any less? Like, now that he's kind of not the femto thing anymore and he's kind of literally just doing the same thing, like he never got out of the high school mentality of needing to be the best and taking over countries and shit like that. Like, are we past the hate, or how far are we on the hate meter for him?
Sure, yeah.
Still, he's done some terrible shit, so I don't necessarily want people to be like, oh yeah, he's totally exonerated from everything he's done. He's absolutely not. But seeing some of the other things going on here and knowing he's probably the only real threat to like this demon king of the Kushan, or like anything that like Guts probably can't actually deal with himself at his level. Like, is he maybe a means to an end? Does that make him more valuable now than before? I don't know.
Is he like lawful evil or something?
I haven't decided how I feel about him anymore, because I was very adamantly like, we need to do everything we can to stop him, but now I'm kind of like, we should see if he takes out this like giant cloud demon first.
This beard monster.
Yeah.
Before we move on. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But yeah.
Okay.
War ahead. So yeah.
War ahead.
But anyway, what's our like thanks for sailing on the we didn't introduce ourselves. I was Nathan.
That's true, we did. And I am and will be always Paul.
That's right. And we'll catch you next week on the good shit Berserk.
We'll just throw every like I gotta find a gong.
Bong.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Thanks for joining the movie monks at Berserk time.
Exactly. See you next time.